You look so. I love you in this like J. Crew like sipping a coffee look.
I'm a very clean cut man, very conservative sort of.
Gentleman.
My appearance is very conservative.
Tim Heidecker, what a pleasure to have you in my apartment.
Yes, finally.
I know you've been back and forth a lot, and now you're here promoting the comedy.
Now I'm here for good.
Are you really?
On your show, you're a permanent guest.
Yes, you're going to be my co-host. How's your laugh? How's your sidekick laugh?
Not good, because I don't find most things that funny.
You're a tough laugh, which I respect, actually. I like that about you. You're the opposite of a slutty laugh. Right. You're somebody who's like
hard
to win over. Oh, no, I could tell. I could tell.
That was a fake laugh, too.
It was thin and not hearty at all.
Right.
I want to ask you about the comedy, but before I do, I would like to know about going to see Brand X with Russell Brand.
I didn't see it. Well, yes, I did see. I saw Russell Brand with Brand X, but I saw Brand X with Russell Brand.
Yes.
But I didn't go with him because he was hosting the show. We went, I guess, as a dare or as a stunt. I'm very vocally, publicly not a fan on Twitter. And I mean, what do you think of that guy? Are you on the record?
I'm on the record as saying that show is like nothing I'd ever seen in my life. Like the first, I watched the first like 5 or 10 minutes of the first episode, and I was just shocked.
Have you seen the new season?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you have to see the new season.
Has it gone backwards?
It's gotten backwards in a weird way because the first season was, kind of just like a UCB theater, black box kind of vibe, which didn't look good, and I thought it was not, it was a bad choice, but at least it was like something original or something different. This season, the only note they took seems to be, let's make the set more traditional. So they've gone sort of more into the middle of the road with the show.
Does he have a desk?
He's got a desk with the coffee cup and the microphone, but it looks like they took, an afternoon daytime talk show set and then littered the background with just like British things. So there's like the Big Ben and, the guard and just random stuff like a dartboard. You got to look at the set for the new season.
I remember
so gross.
From the first season, it looking like he was on the set of Cats, the musical, which was like set in a junkyard, and he seemed to be dressed in garbage, and there was some sort of like you stumbled upon an alley, and like this wise homeless man was going to like regale you with some stories and non sequiturs.
Right.
Every once in a while, come into my alley, and then I have some visual aids.
Right. So me and some friends have been sort of fans of hating that show, and we got invited. They're desperate for an audience to come. I live in Hollywood, so if you kind of want, you can go to some of these tapings. It's not too hard. So we went, and I went in disguise. I put on a slight disguise because I didn't know whether or not he knew I was, giving him shit for his show. I didn't know anything. And I felt like part of me feels bad for shitting on his show. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm a comedian. I do stuff, and people shit on my show all the time.
Yeah.
People, and I don't like that as a man, as a person.
I was just saying, it's like the fellow comedian thing.
Yeah,
you
it's
have
sort
that
of like an unwritten rule, and some people are like, yeah, you should really kind of, keep in mind that he's just a guy trying to do what he thinks is best.
And therefore just like you.
Right.
You guys are the same man.
Right. But there's something about him that just makes me very upset that he's successful.
And he's very successful.
Very successful. I think you had said this, like America, didn't you say this online somewhere? Like America has sent the message that we are not interested.
We have a zero to low tolerance policy at Russell Brand at this point, but I guess Barry Diller wants to keep it on because it's on like.
Is it Barry Diller or is it Rupert Murdoch that wants to? Because
maybe it's Rupert Murdoch that he has like it airs on a channel in Britain that he owns or something.
Yeah, it's Rupert Murdoch owns Sky.
Right.
And it's there, and it's on FX here. I can't do well. I don't know. I don't know anybody that talks about it as in like, oh, I can't wait for the next Brand X to be on. Or did you there's no water cooler moments coming from that show.
No.
What's weird about we could talk about this probably for maybe ever. Mm-hmm. But so many things like the fact that it's a talk show that's taped a week in advance of when it airs. So it's supposed to have this sort of topical, like what's going on in the world today vibe, but he can't really talk about the news in a specific sense because who knows where that news story is going to be the week later that it airs. He alludes to current events. The way he sets up his first segment, he's like, well, this was the week we were there was a week before the election. So he was, well, by next week, you're going to have elected your new king. By the time this airs, you'll have elected your new king. And then he says, it doesn't matter who wins. And I almost just, stood up and walked out.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly, I think, that distills down to like what is horrible about him. He presents sort of this liberal kind of like, but we're all one, and why can't we all just get along? But then he says like, well, it doesn't matter who wins the election. Well, it actually did, And
that's not even the joke. That's like the premise of what he's about to claim as a joke.
Right. So then he sets up like, okay, I'm acknowledging that events are happening that are current, sort of. But since we can't really talk about that because who knows what's going to happen, here are some generic weird stories that happened in the world. It's like woman bites off husband's testicles. And then he does 5 minutes of like the most base, jokes about balls and sex. I feel like
that 5 minutes is just mostly him repeating that headline.
He stands up there and reads the whole story.
Yeah.
And then like puts asides in like, I would hate to be that guy, like just not very thoughtful observations.
No take on it, really.
Okay, so then he brings out, God, there's so much to go through. First of all, it's a half-hour show, which tapes for 2 hours. So if you watch, Letterman, Leno, any of these shows, if you go to a taping, it's more or less as long as the show ends up being. Because you want to give that impression that when you're watching it on TV, it's actually something that,
is happening
in real time. Yeah. This show, they've overwritten it. They let him just go and go and go. And they have clearly way too many segments for the amount of time that the show's going to actually be aired in.
It's almost like if Frank Zappa went into the studio and did his thing for 20 minutes and then they released it as like a 3-minute single.
3-minute song, right? Yeah. We watch the finished product and it is just a mess. It's sliced and slapped together in a way that doesn't make sense. It doesn't capture whatever that is about him that is appealing to some people. So if I was a fan of Russell Brand's comedy, I wouldn't be a fan of the show because they've just stripped the essence of him.
They clipped his wings, man.
Right, they clipped his wings. So the second segment is a segment called Defend Your an Indefensible Position.
Right,
Have you
right.
heard of this?
I think, or like Indefensible Opinion or, right.
So he brings out this woman who's a advocate for anti-immigration, she's an advocate for, anti-illegal immigration. Deporting. Yeah. So she's a little bit, she's right wing of that issue, on that issue. So he brings out this woman who is in her 60s, overweight, very overweight with and it uses a walker, right? So she comes out and she's meant to be the villain. Like that's how he's positioning her. But everybody in the audience is like, I don't really want to pick on this lady. She has a position,
Sure.
There's a logic to it. She's like, here's what I think. If you're here illegally, then you should be deported. You should have to go through legal means. So there's nobody that's like that upset about that position,
Did you feel like you were encouraged to boo at any point?
Yeah, well, a little bit. And he's like trying to and she's very religious. She has her Bible out there.
Okay.
And Russell's not about that. He does not think that's cool. So he goes, this is the next best moment. He goes, well, she makes her point, and he like leans into her and says, "Yes, but have you ever seen the Milky Way?" I'm gonna do my Russell Brand impression, but it's not